In this interview, I talked to Shayne. Now, he's an expert in yoga and martial arts, and he's the creator of the Budokon system. Now, Cameron's also a highly sought-after personal trainer to many Hollywood celebrities, including Courteney Arquette, Jennifer Aniston, and Charlie Sheen. Now, I was so excited to talk to Cameron because he's such an authentic teacher who truly understands the body and its capabilities. He's also very much into strengthening the mind, and he's a master at self-discipline. So carry on watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the comments. So what's your number one tip then for people that maybe that they're watching this that they can take away and actually put into action straight away to improve their health and fitness?
Well, I would go immediately into the direction of something that you love and that inspires you, and I would also look for something that's difficult. You know, it is not proper to enter into a physical practice looking for it to be easy and doable. You would enter into a physical practice looking for it to be difficult and challenging, and you would show up day after day and learn. And if you have a good teacher, you will ultimately be able to execute whatever is being taught. If you have a teacher who is less skilled, then you may never learn that practice. So locating an excellent teacher and finding a challenging practice equals you having a passion and producing a fruitful practice for yourself for a lifetime.
What's the most important thing a beginner can do to actually make their new routine a habit?
First of all, it's choosing a practice that they can do, that they can go to a location, something that's convenient. People won't do that which is too difficult. So choose something that is convenient, local, that they're passionate about. Put it into your schedule, put your schedule down, make it a priority, and make it something that you just can't skip over because you decide you don't feel like doing it that day. Make it something that is blocked out in your time. This is what you're doing, and instead of saying forcing yourself to do it, committing yourself to it through action. And the action is putting it in your schedule, paying for your classes up front, like committing to the work through your action.
What common mistakes do you see people make when they first start exercising and getting really serious about fitness?
Very, very simple. People move too fast. Speed is the enemy of detail. Speed covers deficiency. When a person moves quickly, they cannot see where they're making mistakes. They cannot see where they are disconnected. And by not being able to see where one is disconnected, one cannot correct. If one cannot see the mistake and correct, one cannot learn. So that's the most common mistake that people make.
And there's lots of unreliable information on the internet. Are there any myths about fitness that you can debunk for us today?
That it's easy, that you're going to get results by simply doing 10 minutes a day, or that is all just it's just playing to the weakest or the most common denominator out there. You're only going to get that which you put forth or into something. So 10 minutes a day will give you 10 minutes a day of so it's like saying I'm going to spend 10 minutes today on my relationship. Great. Well, you'll get 10 minutes worth of fruit from the relationship.
So describe your process, the Budokon process, and actually the style of this and the health benefits to people practicing it.
I would be dishonest if I were to tell you it was an easy practice. It is a difficult practice. It takes a lot of strength, not strength from conventional, not from the conventional sense of strength, not strength muscularly, how much muscle mass one may have, but rather a connected type of strength in the body, an integrated strength like a gymnast's strength or a Cirque du Soleil performer strength, the kind of strength where a person has to be connected to their body. And if a person is very developed in the lower torso, say big quads, strong legs like a cyclist, but they're very weak up top, they're going to struggle, and vice versa. So really it's about teaching people to balance out their physical practice and what the result is, of course, of that work is that you create something like a gymnast type of body, a very lean, strong, integrated, connected, physical body. I find it to be one of the more challenging practices, but at the same time, one of the more fruitful practices when it comes to creating a holistic movement practitioner, someone who can truly move hands, feet, full body, and can make many choices in their body, can transition from one sport to another sport, from one thing to another thing, and do it gracefully. I like to say Budokan doesn't do what you do, but it makes what you do better. So it doesn't matter what your practice is, we'll just improve it.
Can you recount any inspiring stories then of people that you've actually helped improve their fitness in your practice?
Well, I receive a tremendous amount of feedback from students. I mean, I've worked with people who have scoliosis, muscular dystrophy. I actually work with a number of people with MS. I work with a number of people with spinal disorders. I work with people who, have been traumatized physically, sexually. I mean, I work with a lot of people who are looking to heal themselves. And the success rate or the feedback has been tremendous. I mean, but I can say that with anything. I mean, anything that a person does and that they do with a great teacher, they're going to get successful result. So I think Budokan, like many other amazing movement systems, has a very high rate of success when it comes to helping people with to adjust their physiology and also to adjust their psychology. We have a tremendous amount of psychological work that we do within the system. We do a lot of life coaching, a lot of focus on communication, language, relationship, thought process. We take everything into account. We look at the totality of the way a person is living their life rather than looking at parts and pieces, because that's not integrated. It's not an integrated approach to health.
What I'm really interested in is if you can take me back to when you first got serious about fitness and tell me how this actually ended up as your career.
Well, I started training in martial arts when I was 12 years old. And it was primarily because I was kind of bullied as a kid. I was a very kind and soft-hearted boy, but at the same time, I was also probably a bit too witty and sarcastic for my own good. So I think I got myself in a good bit of trouble. So I think I was somewhat of an easy target for bullies. And I was determined after one incident that I was going to learn martial arts. I had loved it and watched it as a kid. My mother and father decided they would sign me up for training. And I said, well, whatever you do, don't sign me up for Taekwondo, because a friend of mine who was a black belt, he goes, whatever you do, you don't want to take Taekwondo. You want to take Kung Fu or something like that. So my 12th birthday comes, and my mom and dad, I open my present, and it's a gi. It's a martial arts gi, and it's a Taekwondo gi. So they have signed me up for Taekwondo classes. The only martial art I asked them not to sign me up for. And I said, come on, guys. I asked you guys. They're like, well, it was the closest and the easiest, so this is what you're going to take. So, beggars couldn't be choosers at that time. So I happily decided to start taking classes, and I don't regret it a bit. Amazing art. Very thankful that I learned that practice. Taught me a tremendous amount about kicking and being an excellent martial artist in general. Taekwondo is a phenomenal martial art. So after taking a traditional martial arts style like the Mudokan traditional Taekwondo was, I transitioned into a more sport-oriented style called Olympic style Taekwondo. due to that practice, I became a very, very high level martial artist. It's a very intense, serious, athlete. It's an athlete's martial art. It's serious training. From there, I moved into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Japanese Karate-Do, and rounded out my game. I'm 38 now, so I started training it when I was 12, and I began teaching right away because I started going home and teaching all the kids in my neighborhood, the boys, my friends. So teaching was just something that I was it was very natural in me to teach. 30 years later, I can say quite confidently that I am an excellent teacher. How well, are there better martial artists? Are there better yogis? Are there better, practitioners? I'm sure there are. You can never stay on top physically forever. But when it comes to teaching and understanding martial arts and yogic arts as a hybridized system, I don't think that there's anyone in the world that knows more about it than I do, because I pioneered that concept, bringing those two together in a real system.
So what do you know now that you wish that you would have known when you were first starting out?
I tell my students, you don't know how lucky you are, because it took me 30 years to figure out a lot of the things that I'm teaching you right now, because no one explained it to me clinically. I can say that pretty much everything I've ever learned, I've gone in and looked at the blueprint, looked at the real blueprint of the movement. And I'm grateful that I did that, because I failed at so many things on the first try, which I'm glad that I have. Then I really learned to go into deep practice and look at the mistakes, because within the mistake is where the lesson is. And within the mistake and the lesson is the blueprint of the movement. So if you do something effortlessly the first time, you oftentimes really truly do not understand its structural foundation. One has to it's like taking something apart and tinkering with it. And if you take it apart and you don't realize how it was put together to begin with, then you have to figure out how to put it back together. You have to really rethink it. It's different than taking it apart, remembering how it came apart, and then just through memory putting it back together. That's very different than taking it apart, not knowing how it got together to begin with, and then saying, okay, starting from scratch now you truly understand its structure in a way that you did not originally.
Have you learned any secret tips then, now that you're a professional, something that maybe that you do differently now than you did when you first started out?
I think when one moves through something very slowly, very thoughtfully, unlike I did in the beginning when I was young, everything was about speed and power and how quickly and how strong. So shifting that mindset and moving into a mindset of play, fun, relax, take your time, really slow down, really have a good time, but at the same time, move at a very slow speed, so that you can feel little successes. You can get these little moments of success, and that can keep feeding. It's the fuel that'll keep your practice going. These little moments, keeping that sensitivity and awareness to the growth that you're having moment to moment. One should really know what one is looking for from an art form. What am I looking for from this art form? It's not. I mean, if you come in an art form with an attachment, like I'm looking to get something, rather than that, come in the art form and say, what kind of fruit does this art produce in people? Looking at people who practice it, noticing what kind of fruit that is the fruit more peace and clarity? Is the fruit more muscularity? Is the fruit more stamina, cardiovascular? What is the fruit of the work? Kind of getting a feel for what the work produces in a person, so that one can be aware of what one is seeking. That's an intelligent approach to looking for a physical practice, and also looking for something that really gives a person a well-rounded, full physical expression of movement that is reflective of what the body's capable of. The body can jump, it can spin, turn, crawl, move. You need something that really reflects the body's full capacity for movement.
And what advice would you give people then that break their habit, that sort of start off with good intentions and then kind of fall off the wagon? How can they get back on track again?
You know, just stop telling stories and making excuses, and just do the work. I mean, you know, there's no magic pill. This is not, you know, it's there's no such thing as a quick fix. If it is, then it's not going to fix anything. You know, anything that's sustainable takes effort and it takes time. And just like a good relationship, it takes effort and it takes time put in. So if someone's not willing to put in the time and the effort, then there's nothing sustainable about that relationship. And your practice is a relationship that you have. You have a relationship with your yoga practice, or your martial arts practice, or your Pilates practice, or your Budokan practice. It's a relationship. And if you're not willing to give it time, effort, energy, you know, you will only get from it that which you put into it. So I would tell a person, stop telling stories, stop making excuses, get up off of your behind, and go handle your business. I don't want to hear I need to get in shape and I want to get in shape. The only thing I ask my students is, I am getting in shape or I choose to be in shape. But I need and I want are not acceptable terms in my world. So when a student comes to me and says, I really need to get in shape, I say, let me stop you right there. I need a Ferrari, okay? I want world peace, okay? I want that oil spill to just stop right now. You know, there are things that I want and need, but these are deficiencies in the language. So I tell people, let's hear, let your words reflect your actions, and let your actions reflect your words.
Fantastic. That's a brilliant way to end. That's
Excellent.
It's been really inspiring talking to you. You've given us some fantastic content there, and I know it's going to inspire a lot of people.
Beautiful.